and welcome to A Better Place. As you may know, November is the month of domestic violence awareness. And today on A Better Place, we will be bringing you a special edition on domestic violence. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Welcome back to A Better Place. As I mentioned before, November is the month of domestic violence awareness. And joining us today on A Better Place, we have the director of the Safe Haven Foundation, Ms. Loyola Simonson. Loyola, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you, Anjali.
Loyola, let's get right into the program and give us a brief history about Safe Haven.
Safe Haven Foundation is a non-profit organization. It was established in 1998. And it opened the shelter doors in 1999.
Tell us, how long have you been director of Safe Haven?
Well, I have been with the foundation for almost 3 years now. And it was a very challenging 3 years, but also very fruitful.
Right. And can you give us some explanations as to what exactly happens at the Safe Haven Foundation?
Yes. Well, we offer different support services to the community. We have the shelter, of course, and in the shelter we admit women and their children who are victims of domestic abuse. We also have a hotline, a 24-hour hotline, where the general public can call in for information about abuse, for information about restraining orders, general information how to go about a relationship when you are in an abusive relationship.
You said that persons can call in when they have various questions.
Yes.
But what about when they are experiencing the actual abuse?
Yes. Well, normally women call the hotline, and also men call the hotline. Women call the hotline with all kinds of questions. If they are in the situation at the moment, we refer them to the police. And after they went to the police to file a complaint or press charges, they can be admitted to the shelter after the intake, because we have an intake procedure.
Okay, so basically you're saying that they can call the hotline, but you direct them to the police.
Exactly, because it's very important that if you are a victim of abuse, that you make a report by the police. So that is the first step. And the second step is that we do the intake, and then women can come into the shelter with their children. They can stay in the shelter for 3 months. That's the crisis period. And in that 3 months, we are working together with the client to see how we can get her life back on track.
So is it a maximum of 3 months, or is it a minimum of 3 months?
It all depends on the individual needs of the client. Yes.
So you're basically saying that if someone needs more time, that time can be extended to them?
It can. It all depends, yes.
So while a person is in the shelter, a lady and her children, you offer various services, of course, support services.
Yes.
Can you give us a little explanation as to what kind of services you give?
Most women that are admitted in the shelter need counseling, because they come out of a very difficult abusive situation. So Safe Haven offers counseling, and not only counseling for women, but also counseling to their children if it's necessary. Of course, when you're in the shelter, there's a time for healing. So we have a guidance plan that we work with the clients towards healing and also towards a new beginning. So most of the time they need financial support, they need emotional support, and a very important thing is also housing. Because if you leave your house or your apartment, you need somewhere else to stay, because you cannot stay the rest of your life in the shelter. So we support them with that. We also give legal advice. For example, how to file for a divorce, how to get a restraining order, how to file for divorce, how to get a restraining order against their abuser, but also how to get child support. Those are the support services that we offer.
And the children that come into the shelter, they carry on with their daily routine? How does that work?
Well, there's a change, of course, because coming to the shelter, it's not easy. So the children that are in the shelter, of course, are being affected by the changes. But we try to keep them as normal as possible. They go back to school, if it's possible, and they have their old routine, getting up, getting to school, having lunch, dinner. So we are trying, because the shelter is like a home from home. So we are trying to keep it as normal as possible. But of course, children are affected by it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And like you said, you're trying to make it home away from home. But how do they cope with their friends? Because I know that Safe Haven is a very secretive location and stuff like that. So how do you explain them the importance of keeping where they are a secret?
Well, it's very important, of course, because we are a secret location. For safety reasons, it's very important. So the parents, in that sense, the mother, have to discuss that with the children, and we are discussing it with the mother, how important it is to keep the place safe and confidential. But when you enter the shelter, I always tell clients when they come in for the intake, I said, this is not a picnic, it's not a party, because you will be isolated from your family and from your friends, and you will go through all kinds of challenges, and the challenges of healing, and the pain and the frustration. So it's not going to be a easy road, but at the end of the road there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Yeah. And what about you know, their lives? They come into the shelter, of course, because they're seeking refuge. But do they continue working if they have a job?
Yes. Some of the women, they continue their if it's possible, of course, because sometimes it is not possible, but then we provide also security measurements for them to at least continue their jobs.
And will you say, Loyola, in your years that you are with Safe Haven, that you have seen domestic violence on a decrease or on an increase?
Well, I would say increase, because if I look at the women that are entering the shelter every month, and also the hotline services, the callings, the hotline calls, there is an increase on St. Martin, but there is an increase everywhere, because it's, you know, it's 1 in 3 women in the US that, of all over the world, that's all over the world, a statistic, that will be a victim of domestic abuse. 1 in 3, so that's a lot.
Of course, 1 in 3.
Yes.
I mean, and we're talking about millions and millions of persons.
Yes.
Yes. So I would also like you to give a little insight about the various forms of domestic violence, because people think that domestic violence is hitting only.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Well, domestic violence is not only hitting, of course. Domestic violence is any incident of any threatening, of any kind of behavior that violence, abuse. And the abuse is very various. It can be financial abuse, it can be emotional, it can be psychological, it can be sexual. And domestic violence is all about controlling the other person in the relationship. And domestic violence is not only between partners, it can be between intimate partners who are in a relationship, who have been in a relationship, but it also can concern family members, and regardless gender or sexuality.
Right, you see, I think we all here think that it's man, woman,
Yes.
you know, and not necessarily same gender or family members.
Exactly.
We have been raised to believe that domestic violence is only between a man and a woman.
Yes, and it's not. And we also have been raised that domestic violence is a private matter, and it's not. We have to speak out against it. It's nothing private.
So can you say that maybe that's the reason why that you would say that it's on the increase, because people are becoming more aware, and because they're more aware, they're actually speaking out more about it?
Well, I think that people starting to speak out against domestic violence, but it's still something that people don't like to discuss. And I understand that part, because it's also very difficult. People feel ashamed if they are abused, but there's nothing to feel ashamed about, because the abuser is the one that have to feel ashamed. But because of various culture backgrounds, religious backgrounds, people don't like to open up and speak about this crime, because domestic violence is a crime.
Yes, but you see, it all stems back from, like you said, cultures and the way you were brought up, because,
Yes.
you know, we are from in the Caribbean, where a lot of people believe that, for example, spanking and beating your child, is nothing wrong with it. You know, and some persons even go back to what the Bible says, you know, about spoiling the child, spare the rod, spoil the child, you know. So I think it has a lot to do with culture as well. And when you grow up feeling that something is okay, you grow up doing it.
Exactly. But that's why we have to make a change. We have to speak out against domestic violence, and we have to bring more awareness to the general public, because if you have no idea what else to do, you will keep on with your old behavior. So
Right.
we have to provide them with new tools.
Loyola, I would like to thank you for that information that you've given us thus far concerning domestic violence. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Man, I'm supposed to take my girl out to dinner this weekend. She's so broke, man.
Man, I used to have those same problems, you know, but since I got my whip company card, when I take my lady out, I even get something back. You know.
Get something back. But you're a lucky fella.
I take your mind out the gutter, man. What I mean is, with whip company I get back 1% on every purchase I make. With this card, I can spend in guilders and use it throughout the Netherlands and Antilles. Instead of paying 1% of the dollar credit card, now I get 1% back on every purchase I make at the end of the year.
What? I gotta get myself a company on card.
Man, but let's go.
Let me go.
Man, now my lady's birthday gonna be a winning celebration. At least now with Whip Company, I know you're gonna get something back.
The Web Compa Leon credit card, with limits as low as 500 guilders. You don't have to walk with cash, and it is accepted by practically all businesses. The Web Compa Leon is the first guilder credit card that can be afforded by anyone.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. Loyola, Safe Haven has been organizing quite a number of events thus far in the month of November. Can you elaborate a bit on some of the events thus far?
Yes. Well, Domestic Awareness Month is in November, and we organized a lot of activities and to bring awareness to the general public, because it's very important to bring awareness about domestic violence. If you want to fight the battle against domestic violence, you have to teach and inform people that we can do it in a different way. And